Today, I'm joined by Ruby Raut, the founder of Wuka, a sustainable period pants brand that aims to eradicate period shame, encourage inclusivity, body positivity, and the conversation around taboo topics, whilst facing the ongoing challenge of period poverty. Now, Ruby is an inspirational woman that has a real purpose in growing this brand, bringing this brand to market, and making it as accessible as it can be. And I am so delighted to have you here, Ruby, with me today.
Thank you, Nicole. After a really long time, we are recording this. We have
Yes.
been just talking about recording for quite a while, but yeah, I'm glad that we made it.
And one of the, I mean, an amazing brand, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think your story with it and the background behind it, and such a personal attachment and experience around periods and this product is so key as well. And I first, obviously I've been following the brand for a while. I've known of the brand for a long time, but I got to hear you speak at an event run by Shah Wasman, Rise of the Female Entrepreneur, and I didn't realize how much this meant to you personally, you know, and I had a lump in my throat and tears in my eyes when you were going through what you went through and your story and how it started. So, Ruby, if we can start with that and just talk a little bit about why and how Wuka came about and your experience behind that.
Yeah, it's such a passion project, I would say, and very much I'm on a mission that, like, no girls should grow up not having any period product or having to choose that they have got only one and limited and then the product that doesn't work. So it very much becomes like a fundamental reason why they exist. So I grew up in Nepal, in a very small village, I would say, very, very tiny, up in the mountains. And then as I grew older, my dad used to work in telecom, so he moved different places. So at the age of 11, we moved to the flats of Nepal. Very hot. I mean, I'm talking about like 45, 46 degrees in a summer days, very hot. 12, I think so. I remember like having first period. I have two sisters, both had periods before me. So, and also my mom. So it was a house of like, four women and a man kind of thing. So, and periods was very visible, like I knew my mom was on a period because she would not go to the kitchen to cook or clean or do anything. And so did my sisters. I knew what it was. I also saw them hanging their clothes rags that my mum's sari basically cut into small pieces. And that's what happened. My mum gave her the oldest sari because they are the most absorbent one, the cotton sari. And she cut into like 7, 8 of them. And she said like, okay, this is what you're going to use. You're going to put on in your underwear. And for the rest of your life, this will last you kind of way. And she also told me that my first period, obviously I can't stay at home, so I have to go to my aunt's house.
So the people that are listening, this is a cultural thing that happens in
It,
Nepal.
yes. And then no question asked, pretty much everybody does it because it's so ingrained like from generation and generation. And there is a story of like why that started as well, and I'll tell you that. But I think for me, the experience of the first period was like, okay, going to aunt's house. I've got two cousins. I thought like, okay, that's quite fun. Like going to school, 12-year-old, and just having the fun at your cousin's house. Then I think the reality really hit quite hard. It was like, it was pretty much a tiny room, a bed on the floor, cup, bowl, plate separated, and then the worst part was like, every time I asked for food, the food was often passed on the floor. Very much like it's worse than how would you treat a prisoner, I would say. And pretty much 7 days was just inside a room, not even going out anywhere in the garden or anywhere. So came back home and I said like, I'm never gonna do that to my mom. And she was saying like, it's okay, but this becomes quite extreme in the far western part of Nepal. See, like it is illegal for girls and women to get banished for bleeding, but yet still happens. And girls are sent to like cowshed or menstrual hut, and that happens every month. Often it's cold, damp. People try to keep themselves warm. Especially in December, you will hear somewhere in the news another girl has died because of snake bite or smoke inhalation, those kind of things. So it's quite scary in a few part of the world. But the whole story around periods and isolation came from like great grandparents. When they didn't have any period product, they didn't have any underwear.
Right.
So what they used to do was like they used to just tuck the sari in, and then if they would stand up and walk around, there'll be like a trail of blood left here and there. My grandparents, my granddad basically used to say like, "Oh, just stay away from the kitchen because there's blood everywhere." In a way, for my grandparents, it was like a respite. She had like 12 kids, so doing all the chores for them, it was like a little bit of a break. So people actually enjoyed being on the period. But I think over the generations, we started getting menstrual product. My mom started wearing those, and I think that's very much similar to whenever sometimes I talk to people over here. There used to be like this chastity belt where you used to put like a pad on the front and the back and hang it. It's very much like that. My mom grew up with like little string, and then the sari pad used to be not uh, the only one that you can put in the gusset, but that goes from front to back and looped in that string, if people can visualize that. But like it has changed so much. Struggle was the hardest one was in the school. In school, I think I absolutely hated going to school when I was on my period. A, because of the pain. B, we didn't have toilet. Like genuinely, we had one toilet for all the seniors and the teacher, and a cubicle toilet. And then for all the juniors, there used to be a canal where you used to literally squat with 10, 12 other girls and used to wee. And then the canal was attached to the boys' canal kind of way. So if somebody was on a period, basically the trail of blood just would run. Everyone knew. So, and then obviously teasing and embarrassment and shames was like a part of the thing in school. And I think that's one of the reasons why really girl hate period is because there's no empathy within everyone. And whenever there is a leak, it's often like shamed about it. So yeah, fell back on school, fell back on sports. Pretty much like once you turn 14, 15, basically didn't do much.
But you obviously did. You continued and you graduated and you came to London, and was it the London School of Economics? Am I right there in terms of
No,
where?
I actually I went. So my sister started getting married. So when they were 20, we have this again a social cultural tradition. Like girls are getting married very early. My sister was 20 when she got married, the oldest one, and then the second one, when she reached 20, she also got married. Then at that time I was 18, so I genuinely wanted to escape the whole marriage and baby and your life. That's it, kind of. So applied for US, didn't get the visa, so then applied for UK and came here. Did my first year in health and social care, so studied more on like the health side of the thing. Very much interested in science since very young. So, but then I absolutely hated the subject, and I hated the thought of like going to care home and looking after elderly and stuff. So then after that, I just ran out of money and did not study for a while. Then pretty much did every job under the sun, from selling flowers in the street to cleaning toilets in Olympic. That was like my highlight. Like everybody, I used to say, yeah, I'm going to the Olympics, not knowing like actually my job was just to clean the toilet. Did an au pair, worked at bar, worked at kitchen,
Yeah.
all sorts of thing. Yeah.
So how then did obviously the idea came from your own experience, I would imagine. Then talk to us a little bit about that very early journey then of actually creating Wuka.
So graduated 2016 through Open University. Then I went back to uni in 2014, did 2 years environmental science. And I think my life genuinely completely changed after I graduated. I started seeing the world in a completely different way. Like every shop that I went, every clothes that I bought, I really thought like, oh my God, like we are contributing to the end of this world. Basically, went to the supermarket aisle, and I think when I first came here, I just went like on this super hyper mode of trying everything on the shelf because I thought there was so much choice, on period product, and everything stuck to your underwear, which was like wow, magic. Started using tampons, something that I'd never done before. So going back after graduation to that same category, I felt like everything had got plastic in them, whether that's like a plastic packets or plastic wrapper or plastic base or the component itself made out of plastic. So I thought like definitely there is something that we can try in reusable world. So I think I was teaching some kids about reusable menstrual product. At that time I started going to quite a lot of school teaching sustainability. Sometimes I used to do on food waste, sometimes I used to do on period product, offering choices that are available. And often the choices that I took was like very much like on the reusable side was like either menstrual cup. And it's quite daunting for a 12, 13-year-old to see a menstrual cup and just expecting how that's going to go inside you, right? And or they had like this very much Etsy homemade pad that was available, very much compared to like the shiny packet of tampons. That was
Yeah.
very much like a not so um, not so nice, I would say. So went back home, got a sewing machine, £70, best £70 spent. I've still got the sewing machine. I think I will frame it, that one.
Yeah,
um,
or in the Wuka museum, it needs to be in your head
exactly.
office.
One day, and basically just cut the underwear. Then only that I realized actually you can easily make a pattern of the underwear. Quite all you have to do is cut the side, and it opens up, and it becomes a beautiful pattern. And then all you have to do is find two of the identical underwear, insert my husband's t-shirt, and then re-stitched it and wore it. I literally made 5 of those and started wearing myself.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I was every time looking forward to my period. I did that for 5, 6 months, and I was like desperate, like when my period's gonna start, and I'm gonna do a product testing and try it. One of the best thing was like this feeling of like there's nothing between your leg. It's
Yeah.
just an underwear, and I was like, oh my god! When I was young, it would be so helpful. And in school, I did try. I used to safety pin the pad on the front and back so it did not fall down or move.
Yeah.
Obviously, dangerous thing to do. I thought I fell in love with my own product basically.
Yeah.
Then my husband goes like, oh well, you can't do that because you need to see if the world actually needs it. To doing like a survey on social media, ask people if they were happy with the current menstrual product. And I think I stumbled upon like quite a few groups, and especially on the running communities, people hated pads because of the chafing and irritation. Quite a lot of them ran marathons, so they were just like looking for alternatives that they can use. And I thought like, okay, I'll make some samples then. So sourced fabric from all over the world, from Spain, and for lensing modal, got some absorbent fabric here in the UK, one of the most absorbent fabric present in the world. It used to hold 200 times its own weight in water, and leak-proof layer, very much similar to like the umbrella kind of idea, you
Yeah.
know, breathes from one side, but the water does not come from the other side. And basically sent this to a local factory in Pontypridd in Wales, and made around 30, 40 pair of pants, and went to the same Facebook forum, and I said like, okay, I've got some pants, who would like to give it a try? A week later, there was like a queue of like 10, 12 women in front of my door wanting to try. I was like, what? I never thought that people would turn up in the first place. And 2 months later, everybody started giving massive raving reviews. Like, I wore it for 12 hours. Oh my God, I completely forgot that I was on my period. Then the whole iteration started. Put the idea on Kickstarter, and 21 days we raised £7,000, and that was the beginning of it. That at that time, that £7,000 genuinely felt like I earned like, I don't know, £700,000 or something like that. It was like such a big money for me.
And you've raised a lot since, haven't you? How much are you able to share how much you have raised since that starting point?
We haven't raised at all.
Oh, you haven't raised since then, but
No,
you've had investment, no? And from
no,
right, okay, so it's all been self-funded.
absolutely bootstrapped. I haven't taken a penny loan. Like that £7,000 has actually worked all the way to here. We are very bootstrapped. Yeah, it sounds so like unbelievable.
And I think to give people that don't know the brand the size and the scale of it now, what if you can share the turnover that you're making and some of the retailers that you're in, so they can see how that 7,000 Kickstarter has grown to the business that it is now.
So in terms of like numbers, I think we've grown over 1,200% since the very beginning. This year we nearly did 5 million turnover. We are in Boots, Superdrug, Morrison's, Ocado. I don't know where this is going to air. Hopefully by then we might be in another big retailer. This is like one of our customers' favorite retail store, also the UK's biggest one, I think, so in numbers. So we'll be there. So really making into progress into retail. But our biggest customer are in online. Like we
Yeah.
are D2C brand. We are 82% D2C, 18% B2B brand. So, but yeah, we work with quite a lot of schools, college, university, but we also work with like charities. We also work with offices. We did like a work perks with Channel 4 last year, and that has been like a massive success.
Yeah, you won grants for advertising.
We
Oh,
won.
sorry, competitions.
Yes, we did. We won £250,000 from Sky Footprint Fund, um, and that was significant achievement, I would say, for a small brand like us who have never raised. For us to able to try the TV advertising for the first time. We won £100,000 from JC Decor doing the out of home campaign. I think for us, like we learned quite a lot in such a short period of time.
Yeah. And just going back to that Kickstart campaign and that initial, was it the community that you had built in terms of the conversations and the Facebook groups that you had been in? Is that what you feel funded it so quickly? Or who were people that were donating? Like where were they finding you and how had you found them?
This is one thing I would go back and do it again, is like build a community first. I literally knew maybe a handful of people, the number of fingers in my hand, pretty much that was the amount of people I knew personally who would have supported me on the Kickstarter journey. This was just like organic people finding it on Kickstarter who often like invest or buy new things. For us, the biggest success was on PR. We came out in the news in 2018 as the UK's first period underwear. Who would give it a try? Would you pay £30 for a pair of pants? Like all of this tabloid kind of news title, you would get it. And that really did the magic. I mean, I still remember in May, I think so, May bank holiday, on the way to Isle of Wight, and all of a sudden my phone goes like berserk, like we are getting orders after orders, and I'm like looking at it, what happened, and we were featured in BBC at the front page, like on the landing page of the BBC, with like top 7 menstrual product or women's health product to use this year, and with Wuka being number 1 at the top, with like a review of like massive 5-star review. And I think that really generated that. And then also, once people use one, we know that for sure they'll come for more. And it has become like this word of mouth kind of product. Early on, then we started going into like more of social validation and working with like quite a lot of influencer, and I think that really helped us as well.
And for people that haven't tried period plans before and they're not sure the saving that they would make, just give us some stats around the saving they'd make, and both from an environmental point of view and a financial point of view if they switched.
Period pants, since 2018 now, it has become much more affordable, and we have gone from like £29, £30 underwear. Now you can buy us from £12, like, so the affordability scale has really changed because we have grown. And I always believe on the accessibility and affordability of period product more than anything else. At the moment, in the UK, we throw around 200,000 tons of tampons and pads going to landfill. That's a huge number of plastic that ends up in landfill every year. On cost-wise, we also spent almost like £200 in 2 years using just pads and tampons. And it all depends on like organic versus non-organic. But if you're looking at the high end, you would end up between £60 to £90 a year. If you invest that £60 to £90 in period underwear, that will last you for 2 years. So pretty much you're saving half the amount of money that you'd spend. One thing that you would not get from pad is like that good night's sleep, that leak-free nights kind of thing. And I think those comfort moments, people really take it for granted. Our underwear are also great for like kids who have got sensory issues, kids who are like neurodivergent and don't like that feel of the pads. They are really popular among them as well. So I think there are like quite a few pivotal points for people to try Wuka, and some of them are like first period, like we are like drama-free period period, first period kind of way. You get your
Yeah.
period, all you have to do is just put a pair of pants. That's it. There's no faffing of like which side is the front side of the pad and the back side of the pad, or how to use tampons. That does completely takes it out of the equation. The second part is like when somebody gives birth to a baby, most of the parents switch to either not using tampons at all, or having that ache around that pad as well. And I think that is a good transition for most of the mothers who are the first time mothers to actually, and also in hospital, you get this horrible diaper kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's so undignified. I feel like, you go in there, you just give a birth to a new life and you are put on a nappy. Like, it's just not okay. So quite a lot of new mom take it for their hospital bag, but also then they started using period underwear. And now a growing market is on perimenopause. Quite an erratic period. You don't know when you're going to start, when you're going to bleed. At least if you have the underwear that you have put on, you know that wherever you go, at least you are safe. And half of the women who go through menopause will experience incontinence in some way or form, while you're training. So I think we have like this intergenerational brand now.
Absolutely. And a very broad product range that suits all different markets, from first period to last
That's
period, or your dwindling periods. And you mentioned there about wholesale being around 20% of your business. Is that where you want it to stay, in terms of as you grow, that stays at around that 20%?
I think that will increase. That will increase with more retail. I mean, even if we are in Boots and Morrisons, we are not more than 150 stores. So it's
Yeah.
still a very, I think, small number of store compared to when you talk about the FMCG or the potential that it can go to.
Yeah.
So I think within the store that we are in, there's huge potential for us to grow. And I think we were talking about this. Our USP at the moment is our multi-size period underwear. So one underwear fits 4 body sizes. 2020, we became the first period underwear to go to a supermarket, but they would only take 2 or 3 sizes, SM or SML, those kind of, or ML. But if you are of different size other than that, then pretty much you would go to the store and just be disappointed and come out, and come online and buy it. And I think we started getting quite a lot of customer complaints saying like, "Oh, but I'm a size XL and you don't sell size XL in Sainsbury's." And I was like, we don't control that, like that's the amount of shelf space that we get. So we went to the drawing room and started like, could we design an underwear that fits more people with just one pair of underwear? And that has been a significant value to our business. I mean, we cannibalized our own underwear in the first place, but we know that on the long run, it would definitely bring us such a great value. Now, we have got less production to make, less offcuts and less waste for us, less shelf space for us to store in the warehouse as well. And we can do maybe perhaps like in future more color and variations as well, something that we actually now adhere only to black color. But supermarket now, they take the 2 sides and pretty much it covers 85 to 90% of the like UK population in it. So,
And you've got a patent pending on that as well.
yeah,
And that
the patent has been granted actually now. It's live. Yeah. So 2 years into the patent application and everything as well. So the design is patented.
And you mentioned Boots there. Talk to me. I mean, I think a lot of people who are listening and have their own brand will have approached retailers, been ghosted, not had any reply, and felt like throwing in the towel with wholesale potentially, or with that particular retailer. Talk to me about the journey with Boots.
Surprisingly, Boots has been one of those retailers who've always come back to us. They are so good at replying back. Even if they say no, they would
Yeah.
at least say it's a no and not ghost you. And
Yeah.
this is something I really love about Boots. And we went first in 2020. I went to the Nottingham in the warehouse, in the headquarter, and basically showed them. Then we had this opportunity of doing a label for them, Boots' own version of here. And I mean, you go through all of that, and we said like, well, we can do white label, but you have to put our brand, because for us the brand is everything, right? And then being present in the store. So, and that went like back and forth. Then the buyers completely changed within the arena, so you have to go back and again educate the new buyer about the product and the process and everything. So it took 4 years for us to get into Boots. They tried other period underwear as well, in that kind of journey, and we did not get through, um, because I guess there was like other period underwear that had better funding and all this kind of thing. But then what they realized was, again, because they don't have the shelf space, or even if they had the shelf space, they were carrying 11 sizes at one point. And the sell-through rate does not become that great for the amount of space that they have given. Last year, we had a chat again, and what they really loved about this is the multi-size. They don't have to offer too much of a bigger space, but also again make good return on investment for themselves as well. So they took all the period pants out, and we are the only one at the moment. So
That's great.
it's a very different landscape from like 2 years back to now. I think everybody's trying to optimize this space so that they get a better return.
I think it's really key. I think that you developed a product that your end consumer, which was the retailer, and your own your own consumer, the consumer that used it, wanted it, but looking at what are the pain points of that retailer, and that is the low sell through, how much space they have to give to on the shelf. So I think for people that are listening, it's really key to go to those retailers, have a look at what else is there, what are the other brands, what do they look like, what's the packaging, and then make the changes, or at least think about the changes that you might need to implement if wholesale is a key part of your growth and your strategy. And what about then international markets? How are you approaching that? Or what can I don't know if you can share things on that, or
No, we are such a British brand. We haven't even had the time to think about international, honestly. I think we do nearly 93% sales just in the UK. And we do have like the second biggest customer is from the US. But we also do quite a lot in European countries, in Scandinavian countries, Denmark, but also like in Slovakia and Slovenia, those kind of places as well. Somehow we are really popular. Um, yeah, I think that will be the next focus, I would say, about like trying international. Perhaps, we are not in any marketplace as well. We're not in Amazon or any Zalando or those kind of things. It's very much purely at the moment just our D2C website and some stockist. And we have got very loyal stockists who have been with us for like last 3-4 years. And for them, Wuka is the number one growth as well. We try and bring like new product at the moment, like summer swimwear is like the most popular
yeah,
product that we sell. And again, these are like the customer who might have not tried period underwear actually are just coming for swimwear because they're going on holiday, they might not have any options. Also introduction to the young girls, like so that they
yeah.
don't miss out on pool and those kind of things.
There's so much to go at, isn't there? And what were the challenges that you feel that you faced at the beginning versus the challenges that you face now as you're scaling?
Awareness. I think still people don't know period pads. I mean, I was last weekend. I was at Happy Place Festival in London. And there were so many people passing by, like, "Oh, I don't know what is this. Like what is this? How does it work?" So very much still that awareness. When we started, we created a category, right? Period pants word never existed, so there was never a search term for period underwear. Like those kind of thing in the Google. So for us, the challenge is like we have to grow that search term. So do more of the awareness kind of side of the things and be in places in mind of people that would never existed before. So I think that is the biggest challenge. Awareness is still now the biggest challenge for people to know what period pants is. There are other options that is available, that it doesn't smell, that it doesn't leak, like that, all of that confirmation point that you need for, or confidence point that you need for a customer, that needs to be validated. And I think that is still like, if you're not in social, and even in social, I don't think we're that big, like there's a huge opportunity in there too. So
And you've, and I mentioned this before we started recording, in terms of you as a personal founder, you as a brand founder, and being more visible from a personal point of view of talks and conventions and that. Is that something that you have wanted to do and pursued it, or is it something that you feel, to get the brand out there, I need to go out after this?
I think it's natural. You've created something that you're proud of. You should be proud to go and sell it to anyone and everyone, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I think for me, it's like it's a session of selling, and if you're a founder, you are a great salesperson, because that's what you live, breathe all the time. And I think I love it. I actually love meeting people. I love going to in-person events. I love consumer events where I can talk to customers. But I also love speaking. And I think that's one of the reasons that you sit in people's mind as well, you know. And, you know, wherever you go, you end up meeting people, work in the places that you wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, so if you already see the idea, then perhaps when you are talking later on to the same company, then at least you know that there are a few people who already know you and know your story. So it's much easier to convince. So I would 100% use every opportunity to speak out and go and do those gigs. Yeah, really put yourself out there, you know, like take every opportunity as a sales pitch that you can convert another 50 people. And I think that itself is a win.
And you now have a team around you that helps with the business. What were your first hires and why did you hire them first?
Yeah, we are a team of 15 people now, full time, but we work with agency and contractors as well. My first hire was a customer service person, and who would help me in pack and ship, because first 3 years it was just me and Nicole, like doing everything from learning from logistics on how to ship a product, how to make a product, to how to sell it to a consumer, learning about like marketing and brand and tone of voice and how do you present yourself. I mean, it's mad that at least I have got this knowledge of every sector, and from finance and managing money and all this kind of thing. And I think early on, my first hire was my house cleaner. I used to hate when she used to. I don't know why. Like I hired her to clean the house, but I used to feel bad about like her just cleaning the house for me. So I said like, well, look, I've got this job. Would you like to come and join? And she used to be like a pub owner before. Absolutely great personality. You know, she would talk to anyone and make them feel so good about themselves. So then we started going to events together. Then she used to like talk and convince people. You know, she's in like early 50s, has such a charismatic kind of personality. And then she started doing that. After that, she moved into customer service. Then we started doing like in-person events. I think I learned quite a lot from her as well, and just seeing how she spoke to people, because I'm, you know, naturally not native to English, so just learned what are the language that takes people to the other side and make them feel comfortable. So yeah, my customer service, and she used to help me pack and ship. Well, she's all rounder, pretty much. Like wherever I go, I just took her. You know, we had great fun going to
Yeah.
Manchester, Birmingham, doing like trade show, consumer show, those kind of things. So really enjoy.
And what do you think people that are listening would be surprised to know about you as a founder?
I think, like, personality wise, I'm definitely like, if there's one way that you can be an entrepreneur, is like you have to have resilience, and you, down should not phase you to the next day wake up and kick ass again. You know, like it's very much like that. And there are ups and downs, but I think you just have to come back and think about like what you have created really helps people, really helps the planet, you know. And I think we are one of the very few lucky brands which really makes an impact. You know, the product that we are creating is not just, I'm not saying anything like that, but there are a lot of beauty products, you know, like do we need more beauty product kind of way, but it's an essential, it's almost a necessity, and it has a huge impact on people's life. From getting a first good night's sleep in 30 years, you know, like sometimes customer write to us, and it just makes me absolutely cripple and like cry almost. I will never forget this feedback that somebody gave it to me, saying like, for 30 years, every night she woke up with leak, like for every month. There was always a leak, and then she started putting towels and multiple towels. And last 2 years has been like the only 2 years in her life that she slept really well, kind of way, you know, like, and that really makes me feel like as a woman we take so much thing for granted, like so little things, you know, that could make life so much easier, and we don't do it. And yeah, so I feel very privileged, definitely very privileged, to actually come up with the idea, continue pursuing it. And I think that resilience is like very important for an entrepreneur.
You're still spinning a lot of planes because there's always new things that are happening, whether it's sorting out the patent or new wholesalers or reaching the customers or applying for that other grant or
Yeah.
that other competition to win funding for an advert, whatever it might be. You're a busy team and a very busy founder. Do you get overwhelmed?
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
every week. Every week.
And what do you do to help combat that? Like how do you switch off?
I think for me the scariest part is when I don't feel overwhelmed, because I'm
Okay.
like in always this state of like there's so much to do. When there's like a weekend where I don't have anything to do, then I feel like completely lost and not know like how to react. And I'm like, oh my god, the anxiety is really kicking because I'm like so used to just work on that adrenaline, you know. It's mad. Like somebody who loves working on stress, it's almost like that. Like when you don't have any stress, you just feel. Walking the dog is like my ritual every morning, every evening. Um, Whenever I feel anxious, like I take bath as well. Like it's one of those time, and I take a pen and paper when I go into the bath and just write the to do list, just so
Yeah.
that it's out of my system and I'm just relaxing. I love listening to radios. I love BBC Sound and listen to comedy. And there's this program called Nature's Table, and it talks about like facts around animals, and it's hilarious. Sue Perkin, comedian, like absolutely incredible. So that's one of my thing to listen. Yeah, very much like comedy is definitely is like a thing. Like to
And what advice would you give to those starting a product business?
be lean. Be lean. Start with one or two products. Don't go into diversifying into 1,000 things early on, because frankly, you need to prove yourself that the product that you have created, that one product that you have created, actually works and people come back to buy more. And then gather that momentum of like request. Don't go with like just because you got two email from somebody saying like, oh look, can you do this color? Can you do this variation? That you have to do it. For 2 years, I only did one product, one flow, black underwear. That's it. Like, be absolutely. And even now, we get, we've got 500,000 customers who use period underwear. We do get requests for people to ask for colors and all this kind of thing. But we are like, well, when we bring the color only sells maybe 1 or 2%. So, where do you put your effort? I think it's all about being lean and being focused.
And what about those then who are scaling their brand?
Then that's a different beast. And then I think that's where you need a good team around you, who have done it. I'd say that I know every aspect of my business, but I just know every aspect. I'm not specialist in any area. I never did a business. I never did a business like as a study, but also like as a work. So for me, it's like very much learning on the job. And for me, I think the next phase is about like finding people who are super smart than me and surrounding yourself, learning from them. Yeah, and I think people are the one who will make or break your business. So getting that right is, I think, very important.
How do you get that right?
I think that is $1 million question. uh, how do you get it right? Culture fit, I think,
Yeah.
definitely. Culture is very important. And for us, we are very performance driven brand, like, so you have to have that mindset of the people. For the outside world, we might look like, and often people mistake it us for charity because the product has such an impact kind of thing. Also, it's such a social
Yeah.
issue that's occurring when they come into within the team, and we are very much commercially driven kind of business. They often get like surprised, like, oh wow, I did not know. And you need to hire those people who are in that commercial mindset and who are there to grow with you. I think that is very important. Who loves to thrive on adrenaline pretty much. And yeah, and it's not for everyone. Startup is not for everyone, or working in a startup is also not for everyone,
Yeah.
because you have to have that mindset of change can happen within a second, and next day you are doing a different campaign. And then like there's, I think the first 4 or 5 years is like very very much like we planned a week ahead. It's only now I think we planned at least 2 to 3 months ahead, but
Yeah.
we are not in that corporate kind of world where Christmas is already sorted out by the time you are in January kind of a.
And Ruby, thank you so much for chatting with me today. Where can people find Wuka and where can they buy it?
Well, we are in retailer like in Boots and Superdrug, Morrison's. Morrison's are launching our teen range only, so we are really excited about that. At least we have got a product that is very much catered to that young experience or like first time period experience. But we are online at wuka.co.uk or wukawear.com if you're in the US. So yeah, anywhere like find us on socials as well at Wuka.
And like from someone that I'm converted and have been for a few years, and I would never wear anything else. And it is your brand that I wear, but in terms of just period pants, I would never wear anything else now. Thank you, Ruby. I will be back again next week with another great guest.
Thank you, Nicole.